on whether I understand what NUP is standing for and accept the idea that it is really very nice and important that there is a fundraising campaign, that members of the NUP party should actually contribute to the presidential campaigns, is different on whether I will contribute. There'll be a time when you're going to speak to people just so that they get the point. And that's what we call an informative speech. When the purpose of your speaking is only and only to inform, that's provide information. Your goal here is to achieve intelligibility. Intelligibility means that a message or the speaker is understandable and comprehensible. I comprehend what you're saying and I've understood what you're saying. Now, I want you to take notice that you cannot persuade if you do not inform. So I usually tell people, for you to confirm that your speech was effective, 3 criteria. For an informative speech, the criteria is just one. Have they understood and comprehended what you're saying? That's it. As you draft a message and as you speak, your goal is to deliver comprehension. Simple as that. You've come to talk about COVID-19. Have they understood the virus and how it works? You've come to give a report of the performance of the organization. Have they understood what you did and how you did it and where you are? I'm done. I've come to anchor news. Could people follow what I was anchoring and reading? How you use the information, it's really none of my business. My job was just to do what? Provide the information. But in persuasion, if you're going to just influence, people should understand the message and accept the message. If you want to inspire, people should understand your message, accept your message, and act upon your message. If you've come to inspire people so that they can buy Rotary Cancer Run kits and they show up actually to run, it means they need to understand why the campaign of Rotary Cancer Run. People should accept that there is need to fight cancer and that there is need of an individual in Uganda to contribute in fighting of cancer. It's different on whether I'm going to buy the cancer run or even put money. On whether I understand what NUP is standing for and accept the idea that it is really very nice and important that there is a fundraising campaign, that members of the NUP party should actually contribute to the presidential campaigns, is different on whether I will contribute. Have we understood the difference between informing and persuading? Yes. A persuasive and informative speech. Christopher, is together? Lady Lucy. Ndugu Simon. Yes. Amazing. Now, also to make it clear, most times as leaders, we are going to give persuasive speeches. And the goal is actually going to be inspiring. Because it doesn't make sense if you convince people and then you don't get them to do something. However, I want you to take note of this. On a controversial matter, sometimes communication should be in a process. Maybe the first instance, a series of speaking, the first instance you provide information. The second time you speak to them, convince them, influence them, change their belief system, change their stand or stance on something. Now the third time you speak to them, try secure an action from them. Because if something is controversial, and let's say the audience you're speaking to is a little bit hostile to the idea, if you try to inspire them and get an action from them from the first time you spoke to them, it might backfire. Let me give you an example. I am a Seventh-day Adventist, she's Muslim. We don't eat pork. If you come in your first speech to speak to us and convince us that pork is good, even if it's good for our health, and in your first 30 minutes that you've seen us, you want to inform us about the goodness of pork, convince us that it's a good thing, and get us to eat it, it might backfire to you, against you. I don't know if you get my point. Yes. But if I take you process by process, the first time I speak to you, I give you information. I leave you to process. The second time, I try to convince you about how good it is. And then the third time, I try to get an action that you test the pork. Whether you're going to secure the action or not, it will not backfire. So yes, as a leader, you need to persuade and get the ultimate goal of persuasion, which is an action. But on a controversial matter, process by what? Process. Okay. Special occasion. The third category of speech